How do you do? I'm Dustaroo, and welcome back to Dead by Daylight Chapter Concepts. In the entity's realm, nothing is sacred. No matter how fun, innocent, or joyful a person may be, their spirit and mind will be broken to feed the never-ending grinder that is the entity's hunger. In fact, the loss of hope from the most hopeful only makes it sweeter. And what could be sweeter than a person's childhood characters who introduce them to horror themes being horribly mutilated and exploited to feed the machine? This is Dead by Daylight's Scooby Doo chapter. When it comes to Scooby Doo, many different characters could come to mind, from Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, Velma, and even Scooby Doo. But when it comes to the monsters they've encountered over the years, it's hard to find one that the entity would care enough to get its spikes on, that survivors would die on the hook to avoid its wrath, something that's not a generic villain in a rubber suit trying to scare off those meddling kids. There are probably a few, but for me, one stands above the rest. A being created for the sole purpose to destroy and sabotage anything and anyone standing in its way. A digital being brought from mere lines of code to a living, thinking, conniving, sadistic monster that goes by the name of the Phantom Virus. Everything is a game to this creature, or so it thinks. Being a computer virus with a personality, it has the ability to disrupt a video game's way of functioning, to break the rules and break the digital world it inhabits. Or does the entity just let the virus think that? This is all just some brutal video game. Round after round, the virus plays and plays to win. The virus stands at an average height with a 32-meter tear radius. The virus's power is known as malicious malware, allowing the virus to corrupt the world and the players in it to its benefit. Special ability, Payload. Payload allows the virus to charge up a ranged electronic projectile from its fingertip, called a payload. Shooting in a straight line, passing through all terrain and objects it touches, the projectile only disappears once it runs out of data corruption. Data corruption is lost over traveled distance. Every 32 meters, lose half of a fully charged payload projectile. Add-ons not included. While charging a payload, the virus's movement speed is reduced to 4.0 meters a second, or 100% movement speed. The more data corruption the payload has when it comes into contact with an interactable, the more data corruption interactables and survivors will receive. If this projectile comes into contact with survivors, generators, lockers, totems, chests, hooks, pallets, breakable walls, and windows, not exit gates, they will receive data corruption. Data corrupted objects and survivors will glitch and flicker, occasionally with lines of code being sporadically shown. Data corrupted survivors or interactables slowly start to decay data corruption over time, unless they become critically corrupted. Data corruption degrades at 2% a second. So if an interactable or survivor has 99% data corruption, it'll take 49.5 seconds to fully degrade. This does not count for critical corruption. Interactables 16 meters around a hooked survivor lose all data corruption and cannot gain data corruption until that survivor is unhooked or sacrificed. Survivors still can be data corrupted and won't lose any data corruption outside of the usual decay and timer well within the 16-meter radius of a hooked survivor. Survivors maintain their data corruption and critical corruption while falling into the dying state, but will be removed if they become hooked. Critical corruption. Critically corrupted interactables and survivors will violently glitch and flicker, with lines of code being constantly shown surrounded by electricity. When a survivor or interactable gains enough data corruption, they become critically corrupted, which lasts for 60 seconds. After critical corruption ends, survivors and interactables will have all data corruption completely removed. Survivors who interact with critically corrupted objects slowly build up data corruption until they themselves become critically corrupted. When a survivor is critically corrupted, interactables and survivors they perform an action on will passively gain data corruption until the survivor's critical corruption timer ends or the interactable fully becomes critically corrupted. Gain and give 5% data corruption a second during actions. Survivors who are critically corrupted are slightly pulled by animated wiring to other data corrupted objects within 6 meters and suffer from a 3% hindered effect. If both survivor and interactable are critically corrupted, the survivor is hindered by 5% and the pull is slightly stronger. Data corruption is not just a tool to hinder and annoy survivors, but is used as a backdoor for the virus to teleport and materialize wherever its corruption is taking hold. Materialize. Any interactable besides survivors that have data corruption are marked with a white aura on the virus's screen, allowing them to materialize on the data corrupted interactable at any time, as long as they maintain some amount of data corruption when Materialize is activated. Materialize is on a 5-second cooldown after each use. The less data corruption an interactable has, the longer it takes for the virus to materialize. Materializing to an object under 50% data corruption takes 3 seconds. Materializing to an object over 50% data corruption takes 2.5 seconds. Materializing to an object that is critically corrupted takes 1.5 seconds. The virus cannot see or move until it has fully materialized. Breakable walls and dropped pallets that are materialized to break after the action has completed. If survivors are within a locker when the virus materializes, they become grabbed. The virus may have what seems like complete control over the game, but even lines of code have weaknesses, ones that clever survivors can make use of. Introducing magnets. Around the map lie 2 magnets that can be picked up by survivors. These magnets can only be picked up by a data corrupted or critically corrupted survivor. Magnets increase the decay of data corruption and critical corruption by 100% or twice as fast. Once a survivor has lost all data corruption, the magnet falls out of their hand and cannot be picked up. Any interactables or survivors that are within 6 meters of a magnet, regardless if it is held by a survivor or on the ground, lose data corruption 100% faster, or twice as fast. Be careful not to let the virus get too much control of the game. The more control it has, the more likely it'll be to activate a DDoS attack. DDoS attack. If all 4 survivors become critically corrupted at the same time, the trial enters a DDoS attack. All critically corrupted timers are reset. Then the surrounding skybox and walls of the trial will start to glitch out and break, showing lines of code being distorted. The very coding of the game falling apart in front of the eyes of survivors. All over the trial, fake materializations will appear from random interactables making laughing noises. During a DDoS attack, all interactables that get data corruption even slightly by the virus's projectile become critically corrupted. Once the critical corruption timer of all survivors runs down to 0, the DDoS attack ends, and the trial returns to normal, with all corruption from all interactables being removed. Every sentient computer virus should always come with some perks to help recycle bin the survivors in the trial. You have firm tabs on everything that happens in the trial, and if anything changes, you will know it immediately. Git. Any survivor that enters a locker causes a loud noise notification upon entry. Once they leave the locker, their aura is revealed for 10 seconds. Survivors who enter a locker will not hear the notification, but will see electrical sparks fly off the locker once they enter. Overloading a generator is more common than you would think, especially with how sloppy these survivors repair. Halt and catch fire. After a generator is damaged personally by the killer, it is permanently marked with halt and catch fire. Every 5 good skill checks on an affected generator causes it to blow and regress the generator's total progress by 5%, causing a loud noise notification. Each piston of a marked generator will light up a bright overheated orange until the next explosion. If all 4 pistons are overheated, the next good skill check will blow the generator. Survivors can avoid blowing the generator by hitting great skill checks only. Overexertion can cause a survivor to bring all of their physicality to a slow crawl. Bottleneck. Survivors, after becoming exhausted by any means, suffer a 3% hindered effect for 10 seconds. The Phantom Virus found a home in the prototype Scooby Doo video game, filled to the brim with the Mystery Gang's previous villains. The Phantom Virus has managed to keep them with him and use them as its own personal add-ons. Tooth of the Gator Ghoul. Charge up payload 10% faster. Straw of the Scarecrow. Critically corrupted lasts 5% longer. Suit of the Space Kook. Double the duration of a DDoS attack. Stacks with critically corrupt add-ons. Nose of the Ghost Clown. Make no noise when materializing. Captain Cutler's Seaweed. Critically corrupted lasts 10 seconds longer. Plume of the Black Knight. Increase the radius in which critically corrupted survivors are pulled and slowed by critically corrupted objects to 8 meters.
I'd like to introduce you to the Funland robot.
Charge up payload 15% faster. Scales of the Sea Beast. While a survivor is within a 6-meter radius of a magnet, and for 5 seconds after leaving its radius, their aura is revealed. Mask of the Witch Doctor. Survivors within a 6-meter radius of magnets, and for 30 seconds after, suffer from the Oblivious and Blindness status effect. Strands of the Snow Ghost. When a survivor becomes critically corrupted, their aura is revealed in white for 5 seconds, which can be materialized to. Cloth of Creeper. Survivors within a 6-meter radius of magnets, and for 15 seconds after leaving its radius, suffer from the exposed status effect. Chains of the Phantom Shadows. While a survivor is holding a magnet, they are exhausted and hindered by 3%. Clump of the Tar Monster. Critically corrupted survivors suffer the exhausted status effect until their timer runs out. Pumpkin of the Headless Horseman. Every time a survivor is hit with a payload, they will be applied with Oblivious for 5 seconds. Spellbook of Sarah Ravencroft. During a DDoS attack, survivors hit with a payload are injured and afflicted with deep wounds, but cannot be placed into the dying state using a payload. Sacrifice of the Werecats. Remove 1 magnet from the trial. The remaining magnet removes data corruption 200% faster. Cauldron of Revolta. While materializing, all data corrupted objects will project a false materializing effect. Root of the Grim Creeper. Critically corrupted survivors who come within a 6-meter radius of each other will go into the injured state. Critical corruption only lasts 45 seconds. Can be adjusted with add-ons. Cyberspace Laser. Materialized can now be held down. If not fully charged when letting go of the action button, a decoy virus will materialize and run in a random direction for 5 seconds. Digital Baseball. Fully charged payloads now ricochet off the boundaries of the map twice before losing charge. Max payload charge is now limited to 50%. Did you think that was going to be the end of talking about the Phantom Virus? There is more personality with this character than usual. Not only sadistic, but mocking too. All while you're being chased and corrupted, the Phantom Virus is going to let you know anytime you make a mistake.
Let the games begin!
Welcome to the final level. You're in the major leagues now. Ready to play some games?
Let's see what you are made of. You again. Now it's just you against me. You can run, but you'll never escape. This is my game now. Hey, batter, swing batter.
How's this for a heavy hitter? If you thought my hitting was good, wait till you see my pitching.
You should know better than to mess with me.
Want my autograph? Oh, tough break.
Lucky shot. You throw like a dog.
You'll pay for this. Surprise!
Woohoo, I'm over here. I've spread my evil virus all over this game. Well, stick around, because this is just getting fun. Now you're trapped. You'll never get out of here in one piece.
You're down for your final out.
So, you think you can outsmart me? Well, this game's not over yet. I never expected you to be such good players, but this game is not over.
It's about time we talked about the real stars of the show. Scooby Doo's Mystery Gang are all iconic characters in their own right, but two have really stood out as time has gone on. So much so that it feels like a crime to not add both of them. So that's what I did. To start off, we have Norval Shaggy Rogers.
Scooby Doo, where are you?
The Mystery Gang's personal live bait, and totally not a stoner. He just has an endless appetite and sounds like one. With his talking dog Scooby Doo that no one really brings up can speak English. They solve mysteries by usually getting really scared and running away. So what are Shaggy's perks that he can bring into a trial? When you're being chased, it's better not to think about the details too much. It's better to just take the escape, even if it doesn't really make sense.
Zoinks!
For every 30 seconds while in the killer's terror radius inside a locker, earn a token. After 3 seconds of being inside a locker, click to consume a token and be teleported to a random locker within 12 meters of the current locker, if one is available. Max of 2 tokens. The only thing better than a good snack is another one right after. Next snack. For every item the survivor fully consumes during the trial, earn a token, up to a maximum of 4 tokens. For each token, increase the efficiency of items by 25%. Cannot gain multiple tokens from the same item. You and your best buddy have a special connection, and that special connection allows you to always be able to find each other, no matter how hard things get. Best buddy. For the entirety of the trial, you and one random survivor permanently see each other's aura. Survivors cannot have 2 best buddies at any given time. If 2 survivors both run Best Buddy, they will be paired with each other. Shaggy comes with one legendary skin of the ascot pretty boy, Fred Jones.
If the ghost shows up tonight, should I go with a nylon net or silk?
For the second survivor, we have the Mystery Gang's personal smarty pants, the one who can really deduce and solve a mystery just through the power of observation. When she has her glasses, of course. The orange sweatered icon, Velma Dinkley.
Velma here. No mysteries to report, just another Friday night.
Velma brings 3 perks into the trial. After studying monsters long enough, they are easy to read and understand, and hopefully, avoid.
Jinkies.
After staring down the killer for a total of 60 seconds outside of chase, gain 10 seconds of personal aura reveal of the killer at any time with the press of the action button. Through pure luck, you clumsily escape a dangerous situation, while getting one over on your pursuer.
My glasses! I can't see without my glasses!
During an active chase with the killer, gain the ability to activate My Glasses. When My Glasses is active, the survivor's screen is massively blurred and mildly distorted. They will be granted a 5% haste effect for the entire duration. During this time, the exhaustion bar will slowly fill up over 30 seconds, which will end this perk's effect. This leaves the survivor exhausted for 60 seconds. You know there's someone after you, but you really don't know who yet. But soon you will have them understood inside and out, and be able to share it with the whole gang. Who's behind the mask? At the start of the trial, see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. When the exit gates become powered, reveal the killer's aura to all survivors for 15 seconds. Velma brings in one legendary skin of the bombshell, Daphne Blake.
Get back, you creepy thingy!
Speaking of cosmetics, when the Mystery Gang was taken in by the entity, so were a lot of the monsters they've met in the past. and surprisingly quite a few adult-sized costumes too. Ace Viconti must have been a big Scooby Doo fan, because he can be seen in the trials donning a Scooby Doo costume. He's not alone though. Yu-Jin Lee seems to really enjoy cosplaying as Scrappy Doo. The real costumes though that everyone wants, the ones that have people on their knees begging with their wallet in hand, is the costumes belonging to
I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. Put a spell on you.
Sable is wearing a costume of the Hex Girl's lead singer, Thorn. We have Elodie wearing the piano player Luna's personal outfit. And lastly, the Fog's musician, Kate, is wearing the drummer's garb, Dusk. When it comes to killers, it seems some characters have managed to form in the Fog somehow. Like the legendary costume for the Wraith of the Phantom Shadow, whose bell noise is replaced by a very loud chain shake. The Trapper, who is wearing somehow Scooby-Doo's most iconic villain, the Creeper, where instead of Trapper noises or grunts, it's just the Creeper saying, The Clown, whose lungs sound like they're actually filled with tar, is wearing the Tar Monster, where the flesh melts down like a fondue fountain, and has the usual clown audio but with a liquidy and bubbly version of it. And the final skin. A cosmetic set can't be finished without some weird dredge skin. The Grim Creeper is now on full display. And that's going to bring us to the end of the concept. So what do you think? Do you like the idea of Scooby-Doo being added to the game in some aspects? Do you like the idea for the Phantom Virus? Or do you think there's some other Scooby-Doo monster that would work better as a killer? And don't say the Creeper, because what the hell is the Creeper's power going to be besides going Creeper? I just don't know. But if you can come up with an idea, share it. Why not, right? Ultimately, I think Scooby-Doo can work in Dead by Daylight. Not because it's traditional horror slasher, what we're used to, right? They're not gory, they're not bloody, they're not vulgar, they're not depressing. It's a lighthearted introduction to horror themes for a lot of people. Even today, they have movies and TV shows based around Scooby-Doo coming out. Disregard Velma, like that is the adult take on Scooby-Doo, but you know, the less we talk about it, the better. But it does show that, you know, the IP holders are floating the idea of an adult-centric Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo characters sort of in a bloody, gory horror style. So I think it's possible eventually we could get them, and I think it could work for Dead by Daylight, as their whole shtick is being hunted down, being chased by monsters. They're running around through this small house, map, whatever, being chased down. They just don't get brutally murdered afterwards. But they're in line with it. And I think with how Dead by Daylight has to evolve and is evolving as we speak, something like Scooby-Doo wouldn't feel out of place and could work really well. Because it's not a secret that Dead by Daylight has most of the big horror slasher characters. And the ones they don't have, they're probably never going to get, or they're very far off right now. You know, Jason, Candyman. They're running low on options. So eventually they're going to have to loosen their belt on what they would consider adding to the game. To more styles of horror and scary properties like Scooby-Doo, the introduction to horror for a lot of young people. I think they started in the 60s, maybe 50s, and even today they're still popping out shows and movies that are introducing young kids to these themes, to these elements. So I think Dead by Daylight moving away primarily from slasher to just overall horror hall of fame, they have definitely earned a spot in the game. Maybe not yet, but eventually. And if they came as the next chapter, I wouldn't hate it. It's not the number 1 on the list, it's probably not even the number 10, but I think it could have a good spot in Dead by Daylight. Even as just a cosmetic collection, it would be pretty nice. But I think it would be doing a disservice to the legacy of Scooby-Doo not to actually have it as a full content chapter. Having Velma, having Scooby, having Fred, as legitimate characters would be awesome, and I think a lot of people would get a lot of enjoyment about playing these characters and making community jokes about these characters, memes about these characters, clips around these characters. They would just be a great addition overall, and I'm done rambling, but that's the reason why I think they can work. So, as I did last time, I will leave a little tease for the next chapter concept I will be releasing, and that one's going to be probably near the end of the month, but it's one I'm kind of excited for, so yeah, that's gonna be cool. Wrapping it up, thank you all for watching. My name is Dustaroo, and I will see you all real soon. Bye-bye.
Scooby Dooby Doo!